Yeah, so hi, my name's Morag. I realise I've now got loads of notes because everyone's given me so much to think about. I never know how to describe what I am or what I do, and I know I'm not alone in that. But generally, I think my official bio for work says I'm a walk-in artist, activist, and researcher. I'm really interested in the power of walking. I think it's a massively beautiful, important catalyst for all kinds of art and politics and conversations and change. I'll start, I think, in 2006, I started a group called the LRM, the Loiterers Resistance Movement. And at that time, I was very heavily involved in anarchist, capital A activism stuff, particularly around social centres and making non-commercial spaces in the city centre. I'm not going to dwell on that history, but if anyone wants to talk to me, I can do it again. But I'll just read our manifesto because it will give you an idea of the background and where I'm coming from. Okay, so the LRM, Loiterers Resistance Movement, is a Manchester-based collective of artists, activists and wanderers interested in psychogeography, public space, creative mischief and the hidden stories of our city. We can't agree on what psychogeography means, but we all like plants growing out of the side of buildings, looking at things from new angles, radical history, drinking tea. I wish I hadn't put tea, we much prefer beer to be honest. Getting lost, DIY map making and feeling like a tourist in your hometown. Gentrification, advertising and blandness make us sad. We believe there's magic in the Mancunian rain. Our city is wonderful and made for more than shopping. The streets belong to everyone and we want to reclaim them for play and revolutionary fun. On the first Sunday of every month, we go for a wander of some sort and also organise occasional festivals, exhibitions, spectacles and random shenanigans. Please join us, everyone is welcome. And we've been doing that for 16 years now, walking at least once a month. It's always free and it's open to anyone who turns up. And luckily, because much of my life is about wanting to destroy the myth of the flaneur, there's never been a time when it's been just me. What that means now, and I'm not going to talk about how my personal politics is involved, but what it matters to me today, and what I most want to talk about, what resonates, I think, is the importance of rights away and equality and access, particularly in public space. Now, my work is really centred around urban areas, particularly Manchester, and that's because it's where I live and work, and where actually most of us are in urban areas. Now, I'm not in any way anti the countryside. I've been here for 20-something years now, but I actually grew up near the Downs. It's really dear to my heart, so I'm not in any way anti the rural, but I'm very anti nostalgia and anti the kind of rural idyll that it's this kind of paradise. Because actually, I think we need to make good things happen where people are and where people always are. And I think the streets, the everyday landscape for most of us is a really important place to keep lively, to keep interesting, to keep free and welcoming to everybody, for all kinds of bodies. I was really delighted to see Doreen Massey quoted earlier, because she's probably one of the biggest influences on my work, much more so in many ways than the Situationists and all the kind of lone male psychogeographers. Much more interesting collectors. But what I think is really powerful about her work is the idea of a progressive sense of place, that actually place is defined by relationships and constellations and networks of people, and those are always changing. Okay, so actually the story of every place is not written, it's up to us to change it with our footsteps, and we literally can. But she's also very mindful of those power structures as well. It's not a romantic or idealistic thing. I want to now just talk about a few live and really important issues around rights away and public access in Manchester and Salford today, because I think the biggest legacy of the Kinder Trespass should be an inspiration to take up space and to make land ours where we can. And there are many urgent issues that we face, and I think the pandemic highlighted a lot of these. In my day job, I've been doing some research around how COVID-19 changed how we worked and how people used creative walking to help. Again, if anyone's interested in that, I've got some free events coming up, but that's a whole nother story. The brilliant thing about walking is it takes you in so many directions. Anyway, just around the road, literally 10 minutes walk away, even at my very slow speed, is a place called Raleigh Quays. It's along on the banks of the Irwell. Some of you know this place very well indeed. At the moment, we, particularly including Don and Gloria, who I'm delighted to hear, are fighting to save a stretch of a 300-year-old towpath. Salford Council think it's acceptable to close the public right away and literally divert it through a hotel. It is possibly the grossest example of social cleansing and gentrification I've seen for a long time. The planning committee actually approved it, but the fight is not over because I won't bore you with the legal technicalities. The fight is still very much live. So if anyone is interested in literally asserting our rights away through, frankly, quite boring legal arguments at this moment, but possibly other things too, that's really important. I think that's one of the most stark examples at the moment of our threat to sharing land. But there's also the myth of radical Manchester, right? And I'm so happy we are not adding to that today by looking at resonances. And I think we can see what absolute nonsense this is by a look at the Peterloo Memorial. I haven't mentioned it, as a disabled person, I'm actually quite bad at walking. Some of you saw me struggle to get on the stage because Crips aren't generally meant to be on the stage talking to you, but I'm quite stubborn and I will keep walking and I will keep talking. You know, we have a memorial that should be to democracy, to equality, to the sacrifices of working people. What it does is reify exclusion and alienate and exclude and segregate disabled people. For those of you who haven't seen it, it's a flight of steps. Absolute insult. In Right Bank Fields, I'm not involved there, but there's some brilliant work going on, people trying to save green space from privatization. Well, it's owned by, it was given to MMU in perpetuity. People are fighting to save it for the people. Piccadilly Gardens, another example, due to be refurbished again soon. That was, is as, what are we going to do about it? There are so many cases. Some of you might know the whole of central Manchester now is covered by a PSPO, a public space protection order, which makes it an offence to put up a tent and to have a pee in the street. Now, clearly, I can see why, you know, with hygiene, but this is code. If you read the legislation, and we fought it as hard as we could. It's social cleansing again. It's about homeless people. It's not about people camping in tents to buy a pair of trainers. And it highlights to me the problems, what we need to do to ensure our rights, to keep Manchester a common treasury, at least in the parts, you know, we haven't lost the fight yet. There are places that we can still own. And even if they are not as on paper, we can make them as by using, having fun, doing things there, just making them as. It is a mix of, we need cultural change where people use public space, again, embrace the differences that we encounter there. Skateboarders are another example of, you know what, they're using space, at least they're there. And I'm all for them. It's about material things, about access. Actually, where are the public toilets? A place is not accessible if you can't go to the loo safely. And also cultural in terms of harassment. I've done a lot of work on women walking through Manchester. I spent a brilliant summer walking with women. And the thing that is striking, it will come to no surprise to many of you in the audience, is there places we don't go, can't go at certain times, there are certain places. And the kind of harassment and the kind of fear we face is not just about gender, it's intersectional, it's amplified by race. And I'm so happy that Anita's here to talk about that. It's influenced by class, by age, by disability, by whether you're trans, your gender ID, your kind of sexuality, all kinds of ways that we do not have an equal Manchester and we do not have a radical Manchester. And the streets are the places where we can take everyday small actions to add up to make it better. Now, I don't think walking should be radical ever, actually. It should just be something we can do as a right. Unfortunately, the world we live in, it does become radical. And I think, just to end, I just want to say that I think that it's our duty actually to put our body in space, to assert our right to be in space and to support others to do the same. And that's why I started the LRM, because the idea of collective walking gives us some strength and some curiosity. Now, we're not always massively political. Some people just come because it's fun and you get a good conversation and there's a beer at the end. But so what? You know, there are many kinds of walking, and I think the key thing is we keep doing them how we can, and we include all kinds of bodies and all kinds of people when we think about walking. Thank you.